For too long, you've let shame be the navigator of your life. It's quite convincing, the things that shame says, the way they lead you through life, those thoughts that you want to hide from everyone. But today we're going to work with the crone, and she will not be bullied by shame. She will stand firmly and look shame head on and cut away every lie it's ever told you. If you're catching the replay, this is your friendly reminder that you can 2x your speed or click the timestamps below to jump straight to the message. Before we begin, I want to tell you about the energy that I was working with before going live. In the thumbnail, there's the Eight of Swords. So I had the Eight of Swords, Two of Pentacles, the Wheel, and the World pop out. And the Eight of Swords definitely felt like the card for this reading because shame is not, there can be external shame placed on us, and a lot of our internalized shame is externalized shame, right? From other people that we've internalized. But most of that shame is going on in our minds. Nobody else can see it, nobody else can hear it. It's an isolated battle that we face. And so the Eight of Swords depicts that perfectly. Feeling trapped by the thoughts, the shameful thoughts, the blaming thoughts. Okay. With the Two of Pentacles coming out, there's something about balancing your ability to acknowledge those thoughts as not who you are, or not a truth, or not taking them at face value, but also not rejecting those. So there's a balance of experiencing them and not repressing them coming through. With the Wheel of Fortune, it's time. It's time in your life to take back control, right? Stop letting shame hijack your future. Take back the wheel. It's time. I just said take back the wheel when I was talking about the wheel. Oh, that's corny. Didn't mean to do it, but alas, here we are. And then with the World coming out, this is an opportunity to really close out a cycle in your life, to close out so much pain. Yeah, so for when it comes to signs, charades, we were doing card games the other day. Today, charades is coming through, playing the trumpet, being really cold, the color green, and jealousy. So I don't know if it's specifically shame over feeling jealous or if you are just experiencing jealousy at this time. And then the idea of recently getting over a massive heartbreak, massive, like you never thought you would feel even slightly okay again, and now you feel kind of okay. So those are some signs for today. Before we get into the message, we are going to do some breath work. Breath work grounds us into the moment. Breath work brings us back to now, brings us back to where we are experiencing our lives. Okay. And so a lot of times shame keeps you cycling over activities that you have experienced in the past, behaviors you performed in the past, So if we can get back to this present moment, we can loosen shame's grip on us. We can loosen the stories that shame tells us. Okay. So we're going to do a simple box breathing exercise. We'll breathe in through the nose for 4. We'll hold for 4, and then we'll breathe out through the mouth for 4. We'll do 3 rounds of this. While you're breathing, I invite you to breathe in acceptance, breathe in safety, breathe in love. And when you're breathing out, release any fear, release any shame, release any negativity in your body. Okay? Let's begin. Very nice. I hope you still feel All right, not still. I hope you feel the peace and the calm that I feel now. It's a very beautiful energy. All right. So let's go ahead and get into this message. We will do the collective message first from the crone. We're going to pull the tarot cards, and we'll pull an oracle card from the Medicine Heart Oracle again today. It was so beautiful yesterday. I was like, we're going to do it again. And then at the very end of the message, we will do one card from the vagus nerve deck to ground the message into our nervous system, into our bodies, and help us carry it forward, right? So we can keep shame from reaching over and grabbing the wheel. All right. Crone. Can you please give this collective guidance? Shame has been leading the show for a while. Whether we realize it or not, shame has been sabotaging our journey. And it's time to take the power back, to bring it back to us. What guidance do you have for this collective, please, Crone? How can we eject shame from the driver's seat of our lives? Thank you. We have the Five of Pentacles on the bottom of the deck. Yeah, this is very much shame-based energy. That's the thing with shame. It convinces you that no one else in the world has ever done the things that you've done. No one else in the world has experienced the things you've experienced, and that could not be further from the truth. You don't have to remain in this lonely, isolated energy, okay? Shame is a liar. We're not going to believe the lies. All right, the first card we have is the Three of Pentacles, of course. Followed by the Page of Wands and the Hermit. Okay, we're going to go ahead and pull our Oracle card. So we'll start reading with that, and then we'll move into the message. One card, please, Spirit, to help this collective eject shame from the driver's seat of their lives. How can we take back control and power? How can we be intentional with the course that we take in our lives, please? Thanks. If you're new to the channel, I pronounce things wrong a lot, so please bear with me. I mean no disrespect. I genuinely just don't know how to pronounce things. So we have card number 26, breaks down to an 8. Ooh, and today is the eclipse. And I heard someone talk about it was happening so powerful, something about like it's not going to happen again like this in like 88 years. And that is infinite. Like that's Lionsgate energy, right? So, this breaks down to an 8, tapping into that energy. Let me know if you're going to see the eclipse today. The card is Isha Hakhama. Isha Hakhama. So we will go ahead and read this card and then get into the rest of the message. I didn't do too bad with that one. Hopefully I didn't. Almost there. 25. It's right in the middle of these. Isha Hakama. Even if outer appearances seem dire, there is a perennial and radiant inner spiritual reality unfolding, steadily guiding the soul towards beauty and truth. What might be regarded as an obstacle today can tomorrow become that which is gratefully recognized as protection, ensuring you remain true to your path and purpose. Oh my goodness, that is so good. What's seen as an obstacle today, that shame that is repressing you and keeping you stuck and keeping you bound, tomorrow we can be grateful that we recognize it was just trying to protect us. It was just trying to keep us from being hurt again or from hurting others. And by recognizing that pattern, by recognizing what it came to do, we take back our power and we become intentional guides in our own lives where we're choosing how we're going to act so it's not hurting others, so it's not hurting ourselves, but it's intentional. It's not based out of fear. It's based out of being true to your path and purpose. Oh, I love that. Your heart holds the courageous wisdom of patience. Patience supports the development and manifestation of your authentic higher calling. Patience is not waiting for something to happen. It is the recognition that much of the essential inner work takes place beneath conscious awareness and is even now intelligently accomplishing notable progress. You are ripening into your whole self. You are on a worthy and good and spiritually necessary journey. Though you may not see or know it, your time for fruition is divinely decreed. In Hebrew, Isha Hakama means wise woman. A wise human seeks and honors wisdom. In the Kabbalah tree of life, the word for wisdom is chakma. And I'm so sorry if I'm saying these wrong, friends, which resonates with the realm of the soul, with pure potential and innate essence. The oracle speaks of a deeper divine wisdom guiding your life path. Yeah, that's how we're going to eject shame from the driver's seat, is to take back the steering wheel by coming back into the seat of the soul, into your awareness. Shame can't lead if your awareness is leading, and your awareness is your soul. One cannot always understand the workings of such wisdom at an intellectual level. Yes, very true. Often, when wisdom is most at work in us and our lives, we are most baffled and initially resistant to what is happening. Yeah, this reminds me of yesterday's reading where there was, I can't remember the exact words, but it was like bizarre, utterly bizarre things were happening. So maybe you need to watch yesterday's reading. You can notice these reactions and still choose to participate in the mystery of your own life unfolding with a sense of trust. Yeah. What was I talking about with the Two of Pentacles? Balancing, allowing those shameful thoughts to arise, witnessing them, even welcoming them into your consideration, saying, okay, why are you saying this to me? Being curious. Or not. I mean, just taking a different approach. Like we always just automatically accept what it has to say. If we can lovingly sit with it, they can give us a different perspective. Or Joe Hudson talks about like yelling at it, cursing at it, like just approaching it differently in a way you've never done before. Instead of just automatically taking the shameful thoughts, the things that are trying to keep you feeling shamed, instead of accepting them right away. To do so will require that you become peaceful with not being able to readily see what is happening, and instead drop into your heart and feel for the deeper inner reality. That's a very deep message that just came through with that. If you're dealing with shame because you have been hurt in a way, it's very sensitive. There's certain words I'm not allowed to use on YouTube. It doesn't make you broken or unwhole. It doesn't make you less than. Judging yourself or staying in a situation or not fighting, any of those thoughts. It's hard to sit and think that there is a reason you went through those things. It's hard to sit and think that there could be a greater consciousness, a greater awareness that would allow such bad things to happen in life. So that really landed when I read that. To do so will require that you become peaceful with not being able to readily see what is happening and instead drop into your heart and feel for the deeper inner reality. Yeah. So if you drop into your heart, if you connect with your soul, I personally believe your soul knew what was going to happen before it got here. It signed on and was like, yeah, that's a great lesson for me. I personally believe that you make contracts with people. And a lot of times the people that hurt you the most, you have reincarnated with the most. The ones that are your soul family. And they came to do the hard thing because they love you and they want your soul to grow. Now that can go into like, I'm not trying to shame victims and I'm not trying to justify perpetrators, okay? It's not the thing. But it definitely brought me a sense of peace in my life when I took all of the it was liberating to me to believe that my soul chose to experience certain things when I came here. That's how I put it. You don't have to believe that. And it doesn't make what happened to you okay. All right. But for me, there was a sense of freedom I found in that. Then be patient. Be patient like the universe. The soul practice of Shakma relates to the spiritual unpacking of what has become, to de-layer and deep dive into the essence of something, to figure out what is really going on. Yeah, with the Eight of Swords, there's so much that we feel trapped because it's just limiting beliefs, but we have to unpack them, right? We have to take them out of that ring of the Eight of Swords so we can see there is actually space to escape. There is room to leap. We're not bound. We can move. This requires us to temporarily let go of outer appearances and see with the inner eye of the heart, which will perceive the truth compassionately, yet unflinchingly when we are ready and willing to know it. Yeah. The truth that you have always, like you will always be, your awareness will always be, right? There are times when we simply must dispense with the platitudes that may undermine our legitimate understanding of what is really going on, encouraging us to play dumb and ignore the harm that is inflicted upon our soul by doing so. And instead, accept difficult truths that require us to grow. This growth may seem frightening at first or painful. It is surprising just how much fear evaporates when we become willing to simply accept something as it is and not try to dress up the proverbial sow's ear in a silk purse. Sometimes, in our enthusiasm to honor our calling in life, we can overlay our essence, our potential, even our purpose with too many plans and preconceived notions. Some strategy and planning can be an important part of manifesting your vision. However, the deep inner call of the shamanic soul is always to live in truth and honor spiritual alignment above all else, including our best laid plans. This spiritual freedom and integrity is how how the shamanic soul gains its power to move rather than be moved by the world. Right? We got the world at the beginning and we were talking about the wheel movement. The time is now. If you have shame over your work not accomplishing a certain thing, or if you have lost your job and can't provide for your family and you're carrying shame over that, I heard Gabby Bernstein, the creator of one of my favorite Oracle decks, Spirit Junkie, post something yesterday. I didn't get to listen to the full video, but she was talking about how to have faith and trust and uncertainty. And what she said was, if we see that everything is an opportunity for us to grow, that there is some spiritual growth in every part of life, then we can understand that we don't have to understand what's going on. Oh, that makes sense. We can rest in the fact that we don't have to understand what's going on. We can trust because our only job is to experience and learn. That's our only job. Not to have everything figured out, not to have everything planned out, to be here in this moment and learn, right? So that just reminded me of that. The truth is that sometimes plans need to change and a new potentiality becomes available that is essential for the soul to actualize and express its destiny. There can be pain in the process of letting go. Yet when that is the right decision for your soul, there will be a surging relief, joy, and sense of freedom as you bounce back into spiritual alignment. What was I talking about? Somebody is recovering from pretty deep heartbreak. The Oracle speaks of liminal space at this time in your life. Liminal space is non-ordinary reality. It is the feeling of being in between something and not yet fully resolved within your heart, perhaps, and fruition that is being worked towards, yet not completely actualized. Liminal space is psychic birthing space. One could say that the shamanic life path is always liminal, as the shaman is mediatrix, an intermediary being, an intermediary, an intermediary birthing the flow of energies between the human and spiritual dimensions. This is not an ordinary life in that sense, though it will be filled with the graceful grounding of ordinary moments. Alongside the spiritually extraordinary terrain the shamanic soul will journey through. To function well in liminal space, one needs to cultivate considerable reserves of patience, equanimity, and contentment, manifesting as an ability to sense the safe and settled spiritual space within which to perch, whilst allowing the creative chaos of change to swirl around you. That hit me hard. That's what I've been talking about for a while, guys. Can you rest in the challenges? I did a reading and talked about being well, it is well with my soul, and where that song came from and how it was birthed in deep, deep pain. And yet they could say it is well with my soul because your soul is always well. You can find safety and you can find stability and peace within yourself. The deeper within you go, the less you're looking outside for external validation, the less you are looking to prove your shame wrong, right? Because if somebody says this, then that means my shame is wrong. The less you're trying to do that, and the more you are going within and saying, I'm going to sit with the shame. I'm going to explore what the shame is saying, and I'm going to see, well, how can I take back control so the shame doesn't have any room to speak? Can I change my behavior? Can I love myself despite every person that's ever hurt me, physically, mentally, emotionally? In tumultic times, the midwife, also known as Hakama, the wise soul, is the one that facilitates birth on all levels. The priestess of liminal spaces, supporting the soul and moving between the worlds. The midwife, wisdom, teaches us to prepare for birth, to ready ourselves, to honor the process of gestation, and to protect against disruptive influences. Yeah, to ensure the healthy delivery of a precious new form of life into the world. The oracle speaks of new worlds opening up for you. There may be more than one creative path equally suitable for you, for your soul's manifestation. Whether you see it or not, you have choices available to you. Trust your intuition rather than outer appearances to carefully weigh your options. You are spiritually supported and protected to recognize the most balanced and beneficial approach. And sometimes this may be to simply wait for circumstances to develop and consequent clarity to hatch. Sorry, guys, I forgot to put my phone on Do Not Disturb, and I don't want it to go off. Cool. The softness of surrender often needs to be paired with fierce, protective mama bear instincts for what must be shielded from the prying eyes and potentially disruptive influences, even of well-meaning passerbys. Liminal space is not public space, no. It is very natural. Its very nature is internal, subtle, and regenerative. Although you will often be able to live a somewhat regular day-to-day existence during deep transformational work, depends on the transformation. There are certain facets of your journey that must be granted the space and privacy needed for germination, gestation, and birth to be able to happen. Give yourself the permission, the energy, and the time to honor the needs of your own soul and your own soul's process. Call upon the powers that nourish, enhance, encourage, and protect this process. Trust your inner knowing and believe in your capacity to evoke the necessary spiritual guardianship to guide and secure your process. This is the price, a beautiful, blessed bargain at twice the price of your own authentic becoming. That was a beautiful message. Got much deeper than I was expecting. But, if you're talking about shame, it is very deep. And there's lots of shame that is generational, that is cultural, that is not just our own, right? Now, if we go ahead and get into this message, moving on from that oracle. With the Three of Pentacles, we're being invited to work through this shame with others. Identify where this could be collective shame, right? I was talking about how shame makes you believe that you're alone with the Five of Pentacles. It makes you believe no one else has ever experienced this. Can you find a support group to talk about whatever shame is coming up for you? Can you find a book? Can you share this with your friends? You'd be surprised. They'll probably be like, what? You feel this way? I would never have guessed that. And that's because we fight so hard to hide the shame that we experience. But when we share it in community, when we observe it in community, it's not just our own awareness, but it's the awareness of those around us that help us see it from a different perspective, right? If we have a hard time, when I was talking about asking the shame and welcoming the shame and being gentle with the shame, if we have a hard time doing that, working with others is another way to do that, okay? With the Page of Wands, we were talking about the soul path, right? With that oracle. Coming back to that life force energy, that soul energy in here. Remembering that this is not who you are. Whatever stories this thing is saying is not who you are. Even if there's truth to it, right? Even if there's truth to that. That was an action you took at one point in your life. That was something you experienced at one time. It is not a continual definition of who you are, because who you are cannot be defined. Spiritual teachers for years and millennia have tried to use the words to describe the soul, which is what you are. And we can point to it. We can say, this is kind of it, but it's not it, right? Tap into your soul and let that life force energy consume yourself. Let your awareness consume these shameful, blaming, judgmental things. Shame comes in, right? When we think of shame, where does shame come from? It comes from a critical voice, something that's judging us, something that there's a right or a wrong. There's this absolute truthness to it. It comes from the conditioned beliefs that this is how something is supposed to happen and it can't happen another way. It comes from you're not pure unless this is this. You are not worthy because you've been made unpure. Shame uses lots of tools. But when you bring the flame of your awareness into this space, when you light up the cavern of your mind and you don't let shame murk around in there unsupervised, when you go within with your lantern of awareness and look at your continuous thoughts, the ones that loop over and over, you're not good enough. I mean, I can just speak from experience in my own life, okay? I carried lots of shame over not being a good housekeeper in my own house, right? It makes me laugh now because it doesn't matter, but I carried so much shame. Like, you're a terrible mother because your house is not tidy. You don't have the picture perfect house found on Instagram. What is that group? The home edit. You don't have a home edit house. So you're just a terrible mom. Your kids are never going to want to have their friends over because your house doesn't look like everybody else's house. My experience, right? That doesn't go too deep. But we all carry shame. Lots of men carry shame over anger. I've carried shame over being angry too, yeah. I talked about that in my book, about how anger to me was this big monster that just overtook me, and I lost myself in the emotion of anger. But we have to understand, like, the things that we're ashamed of is because we don't let them live and we don't experience them. When I began to understand that anger is not bad, it's not bad. Hurting someone while you're angry is bad. Screaming at someone while you're angry is bad. But to feel anger and to go express the anger in a healthy way is not bad. That's letting that energy move through your body. It's releasing it. Alison Armstrong says this one thing I really, really loved, and it put anger in perspective for me. She was talking about how women, like a lot of times the reason men and women don't get along is because women don't feel safe, right? And especially when men are mad, because you can see the anger in their shoulders, right? And she said, you can always look. This is obviously, no one should ever hurt you. But a healthy masculine is going to redirect that anger away from you. So while we think that punching a wall or throwing whatever they have in their hand is them being childlike, they're moving the anger away from us to protect us. Has anyone ever thought of it like that before? And they've been shamed over and over and over again for protecting you. Now, I know there's some people that was not the case, and they had childhoods that was very traumatic. Try to be very careful with my words right now. And that's obviously not the truth for you, right? I get that. I'm not justifying that. That's not okay. I just said we don't harm people. But the emotion itself is not the problem, right? It's how the emotion is expressed, how we connect with others while feeling that emotion. That's the problem. And that's where we have to sit with shame and be like, look, well, in that moment, maybe I didn't express it in a way that was good. Maybe I didn't express it in a healthy way, but I didn't know how to because I was told it was bad. And so all I tried to do was hide it. And when it came up, I couldn't control it. But now we know it's not bad. And now we are going to learn healthy ways to feel our anger, feel our whatever the situation is, right? So we're not trapped in the Eight of Swords energy. But it all comes from you having the awareness and the consciousness, from exploring where is it coming from, right? For me, anger always came when I was overstimulated and I didn't feel safe in my body. It always happened when I did not feel safe, when I felt touched out and kids constantly yelling, and I literally felt like I was shaking. Moms, you know what I'm talking about. You just feel like you're shaking. That's where it came from. And so I learned, okay, I need to make myself safe. I need to understand how to create a safe environment for me. And what does that require? It requires you to work with other people and tell them what you need and to express your needs, right? Telling your partner, look, I need a few minutes. The kids, I'm overwhelmed and I need to go regulate my nervous system. If it's anger and you feel it coming, saying, look, I'm going to go feel my anger and then I'm going to come back and we're going to have this conversation if it's in the middle of an argument or something. Speaking of nervous system, let's go ahead and pull a card to close out this message, and then we'll get into personal readings. Anybody would like one? One card, please, to help this collective regulate their body, to experience their emotions so shame can't keep bossing them around. Thanks. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique. This exercise grounds you in the present moment by engaging your senses, shifting your focus away from distressing thoughts. This redirection calms an overactive sympathetic nervous system. Yes, hello mothers, hello everyone, because we live in a constant state of fight or flight. The cortisol never stops dumping. Reducing the fight or flight response. Practicing this technique regularly can build nervous system flexibility and resilience. Identify 5 things that you can see. Acknowledge each object by stating its name out loud. I see a cloud. I see a door. I see a light. I see cards. I see fingernails. Acknowledge 4 things you can reach out and touch or feel. I feel my sweater. I feel the keys on my keyboard. I feel this book. I feel this plant. Shift your focus to 3 things you can hear in the background and name them. I hear the AC. I hear people talking. I hear cars. Recognize 2 scents you can smell, allowing your sense of smell to engage. Name them. This is the one I always have a hard time with. This one and the next one, but I smell my perfume. I smell this book. Finally, pay attention to one thing you can taste, even if it's just the taste of your breath, right? Oh, and something else you can do for smell is you can like lick the back of your palm and smell it. The back of your hand, not the back of your palm. All right. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique to help us ground our bodies. That's all I have for today, my friends. If you would like a personal reading, please put your name and question in the chat. Not sure if you guys are still here, if this is new viewers. If you'd like a personal reading, please pop your name and question in the chat, and I would be happy to read for you. If you would like a personal reading, please put your name and question in the chat, and I'd be very happy to read for you. Hope you're all doing so well today. On this eclipse, we have an eclipse today. Are you guys going to go watch the eclipse? I'd love to know. All right, last call. If anybody would like a personal reading, put your name and question in the chat, and I will happily pull a card for you. All right, guys. I just want to remind you on this channel, always come as you are and stay as you become. I didn't do it again. Dang it.